Focus Bikes launched the new version of the popular Izalco Max at the end of October 2023. This is the first update to the top-end road range since 2019, and it's a complete redesign from a brand that is part of the PON group. The previous iteration of the Izalco Max is from a time when disc brakes became mainstream in road cycling. Focus considered the angles carefully a few years ago, responding to emerging trends like the use of bigger tyres, and adapted the frame accordingly. Before I set off on my first ride, I offer a few comments about my history with the Focus Izalco Max and note the obvious differences in design. There's a lot more to be said about this bike, but for now, here's an introduction to what will be a series of reviews in the coming weeks. We even had rain this week, so when I looked at the forecast and Saturday said clearing, I thought I'll get in the car and I'm going to enjoy my first ride on this new bike. So I've just found myself here, which is a beautiful location down in the New South Wales Southern Highlands. And I'll just give you a look around. As I turned up, there was a wallaby banging its tail just over yonder. And that's the topic of conversation. I'm not on the bike yet, but I just thought I'd catch the beautiful early morning light by a little swimming hole with no one around. So the Focus Izalco Max, I've got one. I've owned one since 2019, but that was the revised formatted disc brake version, and now there's a revised disc brake version, and it's looking, I think, pretty bloody terrific. I'm pretty confident to say that they would have done an upgrade earlier than now, had it not been for the pandemic. So, in other words, it's a few years in the making. And on account of me owning a Focus Izalco Max, the previous generation, I'm really excited about doing this bike test. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Rhetorical question. There's let's just go over a couple of things while I'm at this beautiful location. It's nice and quiet and there's no wind noise and no disruptions. Number one, the rat fastening system that was frankly quite annoying and quickly replaced on my personal bike. That's gone. So you now have a through axle. I'm going to go through a couple of different things, just sort of things that capture my attention as I first look at the bike a day after pulling it out of the box. So here on the old Izalco Max was a little bit of a fairing coming off the fork, like that. That's all gone. Those tyres are 28mm Vittoria, and there's plenty of clearance. So 32mm tyres are going to end up on that bike. At the rear, on the old Focus Izalco, there was a big platform there. That's gone. And that could be one of the reasons why the marketing claims is that this bike is a lot more aero than its predecessor. So I remember getting my bike and thinking, wow, that is a smashing looking bike. But now that I see this, I do think that my Black Beauty is a little bit dated. To be clear, that is not how it will look if you cut the fork to your dimensions, because there is a cap that comes over here. But I've been able to get a position very similar to what I've been riding. Although I should get this out nice and early and not make a big deal out of it, because this is only one of 2 bikes of this kind in Australia. So there's only 2 of the re-release in the country at the moment, and I have one of them, and I haven't yet ridden it, so I can't give you an overview of how it hums along on the road. But I will say that the 2 that are in the country are large and I ride a medium. So this is 56 centimetre top tube versus a 54 centimetre top tube. And I had fiddled around switching out some stems. I put on a 90 mil, but that's just looked a bit too stubby, and I wasn't confident that it would be a fair indication of what the handling characteristics are like. So what you see here is a 100 mil. There's a proprietary system. And as someone who's not terribly efficient with the tools, and someone who has also switched that stem twice, because I pulled off the 110, put on a 90, and now there's the 100. And I've also dropped the stacker, which is why you see this compromised arrangement. I can say that the system is actually completely fuss-free. I wouldn't recommend that anyone who doesn't have the right tools or know-how pull apart some stems or stackers or headset stackers and try and do it themselves, because I did that with the Cannondale Super 6 Evo Lab 71 edition, which has got the triangular fork steerer, and it turned into not necessarily a nightmare, but it was a little bit cumbersome, whereas this was piss easy. I think that the fork is, apart from the fairing at the top that I talked about, it looks a lot more robust, because the previous iteration had a slightly narrower blade. Just other observations. The seat post, from my reckoning, pretty much the same as what it was. And I can tell you from experience that there's a little bit of give in that design, and it's all pretty smooth. This little rubber covers up that fastening bolt, and unlike my personal bike where that fastening bolt is dreadfully rusted, that one's nice and chromy looking at the moment, whereas mine rusted within a few minutes of having that original bike. The shape of the down tube's entirely different, and they're said to have altered the position of the drink bottle bolts, or the bidden cage bolts rather, to make it a little bit more aerodynamically efficient, as in better positioned, and also, you know, hiding behind a different shaped tube. I can't tell you a hell of a lot about the hose management, and I can also say that they've still created it as a frame ready for mechanical shifting, because they've got cable exits on the rear dropout. And as this is equipped with Shimano Dura-Ace, they're not cable exits, they're wire exits. When the appropriate size comes in and I get a 54, I intend to get another Focus Izalco Max, because I've really liked the bike. The claim is that it's a lot faster than the previous iteration of the Focus Izalco Max. I can't tell you that, because I'm standing in the bush looking at the beautiful scenery. We'll see how that all emerges once I'm on the bike. And I'm going to learn a hell of a lot more about it as the days go on, and I will keep you posted, alright? Okay, usually it takes me about 3 weeks to get some of those thoughts out. that's a real quick overview. But the pricing structure is significant. I don't have it all to hand, but from memory, this one is $13,099, as you see it here, which is Dura-Ace equipped, no power meter. We'll see what comes of the next little while. All right, story of my review bike to be continued, but that's a quick overview as I see it here atop this swimming hole.